Hello, friends. I'm your host, Dave Layton, and welcome to Signs of Our Time, discovering America's heritage, one sign at a time. This podcast is designed to provide the story behind the story found on America's roadside historical signs. Every day, when disaster strikes, when communities are devastated by hurricanes, floods, wildfires, or war, there is one symbol that people immediately recognize, a simple red cross on a white background. It represents hope, relief, compassion, and service. But have you ever wondered where that symbol came from, or who helped bring that mission of mercy to the United States? Well, today we travel back to the 19th century to meet an extraordinary woman whose determination, courage, and compassion changed countless lives. Her name was Clara Barton. Clara Barton was born on December 25, 1821, in North Oxford, Massachusetts. From an early age, she demonstrated an unusual concern for others. When her brother became seriously ill after a fall, young Clara spent nearly 2 years helping care for him. The experience sparked something within her that would shape the rest of her life. She became a teacher and eventually opened one of the first free public schools in New Jersey. At a time when opportunities for women were limited, Clara continually pushed beyond the expectations society placed upon her. Yet it was the coming of the American Civil War that would define her legacy. When the Civil War erupted in 1861, Clara noticed something troubling. Soldiers were arriving at battlefields wounded, hungry, and lacking basic supplies. Rather than standing on the sidelines, she took action. She gathered food, clothing, medical supplies, and bandages. Then she personally delivered them to soldiers near the front lines. This was almost unheard of for a woman during that era. While many remained safely behind the lines, Clara traveled directly into dangerous areas where bullets were flying and cannon fire echoed across the fields. At battles such as Antietam, Fredericksburg, and Cedar Mountain, she worked tirelessly treating wounded soldiers and distributing desperately needed supplies. One famous story tells of a bullet passing through her sleeve and killing the soldier she was helping. Yet she continued to work. Because of her courage and compassion, soldiers were calling her the angel of the battlefield. When the war ended, Clara could have retired and enjoyed a quieter life. Instead, she took on another challenge. Thousands of families still did not know what had happened to loved ones who had gone off to war. Clara established the Office of Missing Soldiers and helped locate or identify tens of thousands of missing men. Imagine the comfort she brought to mothers, fathers, wives, and children who had spent years wondering what became of someone they loved. Her ministry of compassion did not end when the guns fell silent. In 1869, while traveling in Europe, Clara learned about an organization that was already helping victims of war and disaster. It was called the International Red Cross. The organization had been inspired by the efforts of Henry Dunant, who had witnessed the suffering of wounded soldiers after the Battle of Solferino in Italy. The Red Cross operated under a simple but revolutionary idea. Aid should be given to all who suffer, regardless of nationality, politics, or military allegiance. Clara immediately recognized the value of this mission. She became determined to bring the movement to America. After years of lobbying government leaders and educating the public, Clara Barton succeeded. In 1881, she founded the American Red Cross. A year later, the United States joined the international humanitarian movement. But Clara saw something others had overlooked. Europe primarily focused on helping victims of war. America, however, experienced frequent natural disasters. Clara argued that the organization should also respond to floods and hurricanes, epidemics, and other emergencies. That vision transformed the Red Cross into the disaster relief organization that we know today. Under her leadership, the American Red Cross responded to numerous disasters. When devastating floods struck the Ohio River, the Red Cross provided food and shelter. When hurricanes destroyed communities, volunteers delivered assistance. And when epidemics spread fear and uncertainty, relief efforts followed. Again and again, Clara demonstrated that compassion is most powerful when it becomes action. She often traveled directly to disaster areas herself, even as she grew older. Most people slow down in their later years. Clara Barton seemed only to accelerate. So why does Clara Barton matter to us today? Because every time we see volunteers helping after a tornado, wildfire, flood, or hurricane, or any other kind of disasters, we see the continuation of a vision she helped establish. Every blood drive, every emergency shelter, every relief effort, every act of organized compassion, all carry echoes of her work. She reminds us that one determined individual can make an extraordinary difference. History is often remembered through generals and presidents and famous battles. Yet Clara Barton teaches us that history is also shaped by those who choose mercy. Today, historical markers, museums, and memorials across America commemorate Clara Barton's life and service. Perhaps the greatest marker, however, is not of bronze or stone. It is the continuing work of millions of volunteers who answer the call to help others during their greatest moments of need. Her legacy lives every time someone chooses compassion over indifference. Well, as we conclude today's episode, consider this. The world remembers many people for the power they accumulated. Clara Barton is remembered for the suffering she relieved. In an age often focused on achievements and recognition, her life points toward a different measure of greatness. It is found in service, compassion, and helping others when they need it most. And perhaps that is one of the most enduring signs of our time. Well, friends, there you have it, a story behind the story from America's historical signs and markers. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I invite you to subscribe and continue listening as we bring more episodes about the rich heritage of our great nation. I'm your host, Dave Layton, and thank you for listening and safe travels.